the quiet corner of a community library, Henry sat hunched over his crossword puzzle, oblivious to the sideways glances from younger patrons. At 85, he had developed certain habits. Habits that, though common among his peers, were rarely discussed aloud. He absent-mindedly picked at his ear, a thick, calloused finger tugging at wax buildup. A woman at the next table shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. Henry was unaware or perhaps unconcerned by the discomfort he caused. He was simply addressing what he saw as a minor irritation. But to the people around him, it was a reminder of one of many unpleasant truths about aging. At the grocery store later that day, Henry leaned heavily on his cart as he navigated the narrow aisles. He often grumbled to himself, muttering barely coherent complaints about high prices and the idiots who blocked his path. A mother with a young child gave him a wide berth, as though his presence might be contagious. He wasn't trying to be rude, his filter had simply eroded over time. The habit of speaking whatever came to mind, especially when it was unflattering or critical, had taken root, one of the many silent indignities of age. Henry's posture, once upright and strong, had now crumpled into a stoop that made him appear perpetually apologetic. Yet this wasn't the case. At family gatherings, he often dominated conversations with long-winded stories and opinions no one had asked for, interrupting others with a dismissive wave of his hand. The discomfort on their faces went unnoticed as he plowed through tales of a world long gone, certain that his perspective deserved an audience. One night, Henry fell asleep in his recliner, mouth slightly open, emitting low, rumbling snores that reverberated through the small living room. When his daughter arrived for a visit, she found him there, a puddle of drool soaking the collar of his shirt. He stirred only briefly when she gently called his name, his breath sour from neglecting his dental hygiene. Despite reminders, he resisted regular brushing and flossing, dismissing it as unnecessary. After all, most of his teeth were long gone, replaced by ill-fitting dentures he only wore when he remembered. His personal hygiene had, over the years, become inconsistent. Showers were skipped with increasing frequency, clothes were worn for days, and fingernails grew yellowed and uneven. His family noticed but struggled to address it. No one wanted to offend or embarrass him, yet his scent lingered in the air long after he left a room. This was another unspoken reality. As bodies age, maintaining cleanliness can become a burden rather than a routine, especially for those living alone. When Henry spoke, it was often punctuated by bodily noises he could no longer control. Belches and flatulence erupted at random, sometimes during meals, and he rarely acknowledged them. He had reached a point where politeness gave way to the natural functions of his body, though it made others squirm. His grandchildren, once eager for his attention, had grown wary of sitting too close during dinner. His impatience had also sharpened over time. Waiting in line at the pharmacy or the post office turned into vocalized frustration, complete with eye rolls and audible sighs. Henry was not intentionally rude. He simply felt invisible, overlooked by younger, faster customers. His loud grumbling drew stares, but few dared to challenge him. This habit of public complaint, though common among many older adults, made everyone around him uneasy. At home, Henry had developed a tendency to hoard. Old magazines, outdated canned goods, worn-out clothes, they filled his small apartment, creating narrow pathways between teetering piles. His children pleaded with him to declutter, but he resisted. "I might need that," he would argue, clutching a cracked coffee mug or a threadbare jacket. This habit of clinging to the past, even to its discarded remnants, felt deeply personal, but appeared, to outsiders, like chaos. During conversations, especially with strangers, Henry sometimes shared overly personal details about his health or bodily functions. A casual inquiry about his day might prompt a detailed account of his latest bowel movements or the discomfort of his swollen ankles. These unsolicited disclosures embarrassed those listening, but Henry seemed unaware of the social discomfort he was creating. His stubbornness extended beyond conversation. He refused to use a walker, even though his balance had become precarious, insisting on his independence despite frequent falls. When his daughter brought it up, he snapped, "I'm not a cripple." The insistence on appearing self-reliant, even at the expense of safety, was another difficult aspect of aging that no one openly discussed. Henry's forgetfulness had worsened, but rather than admit it, he often pretended to remember things he clearly didn't. He insisted he had paid bills he hadn't, or that he had spoken to someone he hadn't seen in years. These small fabrications, attempts to preserve dignity, left his family walking a tightrope between correction and compassion. At the community center, Henry's tendency to invade personal space became evident. He leaned too close when speaking, rested a hand on someone's shoulder without invitation, or stood uncomfortably near during card games. His spatial awareness had diminished, and though he meant no harm, his proximity made others shift away. All these habits, though uncomfortable for those around him, stemmed not from malice, but from the slow, unrelenting march of age. As bodies and minds wore down, so too did the social buffers and controls that once guided behavior. Henry was a man who had lived a full life, but as he sat by his window, staring out at the fading afternoon, he was also a mirror reflecting truths many preferred not to see. These habits, though unspoken, were part of the landscape of aging, and for those brave enough to look closely, they revealed the raw, unfiltered reality of growing old.